What's good, YouTube? You're back on S Motorsports. Today we're going to be notching the frame rail on the Trans Am so we can stay cool all summer long. Alright guys, like I said, today we're going to be notching the Trans Am's Crossmember so we can run a low mount AC compressor on the LQ4 build that's going to be going into the Trans Am. So I'll bring you in close here. I kind of already got it mocked out where we need to cut it out. And I kind of just used this as a template, held it up, you know, took some measurements, kind of traced out a line where it looks like, and I'm gonna go conservative when I cut this at first as well to make sure that I don't remove too much material. But you can see this is where the old small block mounts used to live on the passenger side here. And basically what I did is I had a scoot back, whatever, you know, this is 2.5 inches or whatever. I scooted it back and now I'm using these 3 holes here. So doing that and with the adapter plates, measuring how far back, that looks like that should all work pretty good, or hopefully. And then with the mount here, the AC bracket, the AC compressor is gonna live kind of right in this area like an LS1 low mount compressor bracket. So if I bring you over to the engine here, you can see I got the AC compressor bracket mounted up. This is obviously where I got it positioned on these adapter plates. I did have to trim this adapter plate to clear the AC bracket. Basically, if I hold the motor mount up to where it needs to be, this kind of lives right like that in that groove. And so once you get that up in there, obviously this is flat with the frame rail, and this bracket, this flat edge lives flat there too. So it basically, you know, is gonna translate like that. And from what I can tell, we're basically at like that. This bracket's gonna sit off just a tiny bit off of there. It's gonna look something similar to this. And then when I hold the AC compressor up there as well, that is plenty of room, should clear with no problem. And like I said, I wanted to use this stock compressor mount as it's got the you know, stock belt system here off of the crank pulley. It's its own belt. I didn't want it way up here. It doesn't look as good. I think this is the best fit for me. So I want to get this all cut in now, because obviously to do it later, you'd have to pull the engine. So I'm probably not going to put AC into the car right away, but I want to make sure that I get this cut out and ready to go for when I do put AC in. It'll be a lot less of a challenge. So I'm gonna get you set up on the stand here. I'll jump in. I think I'm gonna use a 4-inch cutoff wheel to start it. And then I wanna see if I can use my just Sawzall and a blade to cut out more of that, just because I feel like I have more control with the Sawzall, or I might switch to my little air tool Sawzall, which has a smaller blade on it. See if that maybe works better as well. But I want to maybe try and go a little conservative on my cut, and then I can always grind that opening bigger if need be, so I don't overshoot it. And then we can just keep test fitting that bracket in until it fits perfect. And then eventually we'll get her tacked in and, you know, fully welded up. And we'll prep that area first. We'll shoot it with some weldable primer. But yeah, let me get you set up on here and let's just dive in and start cutting.
Perfect. It's called perfect.
Okay guys, if I bring you in close, this is what it looks like. Got it all prepped. Basically what I was fighting with is you can't go too low here, otherwise you're gonna end up hitting this cross member. You can kind of see I'm almost, you know, scuffing it, moving it around and stuff. So it's gonna be pretty close. But I got it to where I think it's good. But even mocking this in, they must leave some extra gap around there. As you can see, it's not gonna be like flush in there. I'm gonna weld it in and then grind the edge, you know, that's left off of this off after I weld it. I did cut it too low, so I'm gonna have to weld in just like a little piece there. I'll measure that, weld in a little piece to fill that gap. Everything else I think will be good. I can tack it in around the edges basically, and then start to grind that down a little bit to give me a little better access for welding as well. But I kind of measured, put the mount up here and kind of measured from the center of the mount hole down how much room I have. And then if I go to the engine here, I also mounted the compressor up. So measuring from this hole, this is gonna be the closest point right here. And it's basically right at 3 inches kind of to this corner, from the center here to this corner, and it's basically a 45-degree angle. So if I measure that on the car, it's basically almost, you know, just over 3 inches. So it's gonna be really close. But we have 1, 2, 3 mounting holes that is not gonna be a problem. So if this ends up being a problem, I would just cut this portion of the mount off and then put a bolt in closer and won't be an issue. Or what I do is I basically cut this off. Maybe I'll do it regardless and cut this at a 45-degree angle so I have clearance there, and then mount a bolt in closer there. That should give me plenty of room then, and I won't have any clearance issues. I'll still maintain 4 bolts. Honestly, it would be totally fine, I'm sure, with 3 bolts as well holding this in. I really wouldn't have any problems doing that either if I just cut that whole mount off. But I think I could make a 4th bolt work. So I'm going to get this prepped. I'm going to spray some paintable primer on that guy. First I'll weld in a little piece there to fill that gap, and then I'll start tacking it in. I then go to town on that. All right guys, it's a few days later. I got this all prepped. I have the piece that we're gonna be welding in painted with weldable primer. I did have to make a little piece that I need to weld in here because I cut a little too far deep. So I'm gonna weld that in first. I got the welder all set up, ready to go. So I'm gonna start by welding in that little piece, kind of check the fitment. I'm going to tack it in place and just kind of do some final measurements. Basically, once I get this piece tacked in, gonna need to, it's probably gonna sit up a little bit, like I said, and then I'll have to grind that down and then fully weld it in. But let's just have at her, start tacking that little piece in, tack that in, and take some measurements. So I tacked it into place. I think I'm looking basically from the clearance of the A-arm to the bottom of this bracket. It's super close. I think it looks good. As the arm moves up, it's gonna almost move a little farther away. Plus, if I see some marks later on, we can always maybe bash that in from the bottom side if we take the A-arm off, which we do have to replace those bushings eventually anyways. But this gets us maximum clearance. So I'm gonna take this a little bit more into place, make sure it's not gonna go anywhere. And then I'm gonna start to basically grind this down flat, as it is protruding up on the backside, probably a 1/2 inch. So I gotta grind that down or cut it off to get it flush, so I can get a little better weld on everything. Yeah, so let's have at her. All right guys, so I got everything welded up pretty much. I'm probably gonna have to fill in some holes and stuff once I grind it down. It looks like crap, I'm gonna be honest. I was using regular wire and then I ran out and my gas is getting low, so I had to switch to flux core, so then it looks even worse, but I got some booger welds going on in here. But I'm gonna clean it up with a grinder, and once we paint it black, it'll be hidden, you'll never see it. It should be good to go. So I'm gonna keep grinding away at this and make it look hopefully a little bit better. All right guys, we're back. It's been a week or two since I was working on the notch out for the AC, but we got her all done. I got it washed up. Let me show you how it looks. Don't mind the door on the floor. I'm doing some repair on that as well. But this is how it turned out. I got it all cleaned up. I did end up putting some seam sealer in here to make this look better, as the welds weren't, you know, the greatest. But I did put a flashlight in underneath here and kind of looked around and made sure that there was no gaps, no light came through. And if there was a couple spots here, I did hit them with the welder again and grind it flat. So this should look pretty good once I get it all painted up. And you know, I shouldn't have any problem clearing the AC now. So that's it for today. So thanks for joining in. And if you haven't done, make sure to subscribe on your way out. Give this video a big thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. And we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.